Trail talk time. Out on another beauty of a trail. Just breathing in that fresh chi. Loving this chilly day. Got the birds just squawking away at me. And today I wanted to dig a little deeper into the whole COVID situation and talk about the testing that's going on. You know, my last talk, I just wanted to help people to start to open their minds and think for themselves. And I found a beautiful quote by this man, Walter Lippmann. He was an incredible journalist, and he said, "When all think alike, no one thinks very much." And that was so, poignant, so pertinent for right now. And so often when people just continue to go along with the mainstream narrative and they don't really question things. And I look at what's going on with all of the testing and I see so many flaws, right? Much of the testing being done right now is this PCR test. And even the creator of it, Kary Mullis, he talked about how this shouldn't actually be a way to try diagnose things, because that's not particularly the use for the test anyways. It's really just to, multiply DNA, to take a sample and to start to, create copies of it. But when they're testing people right now, they're gathering their RNA and, they're picking up this material that may not have anything to do with the so-called COVID, virus. And, I've spoken about exosomes in our body that are created that these tests might be picking up. And either way, they're simply just detecting RNA that may be, present no matter what the situation is. And so these tests are completely flawed. They've shown like certain celebrities. I remember reading about, the creator of Tesla. He had a few tests done. He had 4 all in the same day. 2 came back positive and 2 came back negative. And he's saying, something strange is going on here with these tests. Something really strange. And there have been other celebrities that have, had the same thing done. It's like they get tested in one nostril and it's positive, one is negative. And it's like, okay, was that little virus hiding in one nostril there? And I have to laugh about it because it's so ridiculous, this method of testing. And I read about when, news of this started to spread around, and the WHO, the World Health Organization, has had such a big hand in the way that this whole situation is being dealt with. And they basically said, to people, test. That's what we need to do right now. And so that became the big thing, is just, get as many tests out there as possible for people. And meanwhile, this method of testing has even been said by the creator of the test itself that this isn't designed for it. This isn't designed for, picking up this. And even on the CDC website, the CDC having a huge hand in all of these matters as well. They have papers published on the website that show that they actually haven't isolated this virus yet. So what we're dealing with is something that they haven't even, found conclusive evidence for in terms of isolating the actual virus. So it's just silly. It's right there for us if we read it. And it makes you take a step back and question the whole situation at hand and say, what is this really all about? And, when you start to dig into these things and learn, it can be very shocking if you really are somebody who kind of just goes along with the mainstream narrative. I'm not trying to judge anybody. It's easy to get caught up into that because, we'd like to think that people are reporting on the truth and, giving us things that are helpful. But, the way I see it, that's not always the case. I've realized that there are so many greedy people in this world that will do whatever they can to keep their power, and they'll take other people's power in order to do that without any question. So many people don't really have the compassion that other people have in this world, and it is sad, but we need to realize that truth, right? And we can't be so blindly trusting on everybody. It would be amazing if the world were like that, but unfortunately, I feel that it's not. And so we have to be very aware and be mindful of the information we're taking in. And again, start to question, everything that we're being told by these giant conglomerates of media. The media has been programming people since the beginning of time. I think I spoke about in a video how around the time of Shakespeare, where, the main form of entertainment was really in the theater in terms of putting on plays, and they literally would make it mandatory for people to go and witness certain plays just so they could get that program into the people. And you have to question, why does it have to be that way? Why is it mandatory for me to take in this entertainment, for that to enter me? And that's the way that, people have gained so much power for so long, is they simply take control of others and force them into situations and play the role of master manipulators. But I smile at this because, one who really recognizes their own true power, they don't have to manipulate others to try and gain control of them, to take their power. Our power is from within us. And so anybody that tries to take my or our power, I mustn't fear them. I can't fear them. For they're just trying to cling on to some illusion of power in their attempts to take from others. But they can never really take our true power. They can't hold down our spirit. For our spirit is infinite. And right now, we need to realize our true power and come into that and not rely on this system of greed and control for what we need in our life. We need to start to rely on ourselves more and build with each other in communities of self-sustainability. And it's going to take some change within us to start making some change in our habits in our daily lives. But like I spoke of before, when this whole thing happened, it taught us that things can change all of a sudden, and we have to be ready for anything, right? And we have to be ready to do for ourselves and be sovereign. And that's what we need in this time more than ever. I see the government starting to give out more checks to people, and it's a blessing, right? For people who are, out of work and things like that, and they need money right away. It's a blessing. But I don't think it's good if we become too reliant on the government to give us what we need, in these checks. And I'm one that's just, beginning to learn about all of this stuff and start to question my reality more and think differently. And so I'm gonna need to be making so many changes in these coming times. But I feel like it's important for me to spread these messages, as I come across them, in hopes that people, start to become more aware of the situation and start to open themselves up to what's best for them, right? Which way can you start to move that's going to be best for you so that you are self-sustaining and you're not relying on a system that's inevitably going to crash, and it already is. So yeah, that's all I want to share for today. It's just interesting coming across the information on this testing and seeing how ridiculous it really is. You know, they keep on showing all of these numbers going up and people getting scared, and all of these deaths that are recorded that they attribute to COVID. Meanwhile, the people have, you know, other things that could have been part of or the actual cause of their death, right? But they just label it as a COVID death if they're shown to have it positive on the test. So flu numbers are down so much this year, and you know, is it just a coincidence? I think not. I think, you know, so many people who are having symptoms that are similar to flu-like symptoms, they're now being labeled as having COVID, right? Because these tests are just picking up positive left, right, and center. And it's just absolutely ridiculous to me. It's like a fairy tale, right? Can't even believe it sometimes, the way that they try and continue to manipulate people with these false numbers, right? And so it's very refreshing actually just to step back and watch it all for a moment and not get sucked into all that bullshit. So yeah, that's all I want to share for today. Hope everyone has an amazing day, and just realize, you know, sometimes the truth can be a bit scary. It can be a bit eerie. It can seem, you know, a bit more strange than you know, what you believe to be true. But ultimately, truth is the most empowering thing, and truth is what we need right now. So I hope everybody continues to search for the truth, and beyond all, you know, come back into that truth within, because that's the most important thing, you know, knowledge of self, realizing that nobody holds control over us, nobody has power over us, only we have the power. And when we come together, you know, our power is that much stronger. So in this time when we're told to isolate and distance from each other and put on these masks and not talk to each other, we still need to find a way to connect, because we're human beings, we're a social species, and we still need to show each other love and affection and compassion. You know, I see people being shamed if they're not wearing a mask. I'm seeing stories online of this happening so often. And now with these, you know, vaccines starting to come out, we hear about theories of what's going to happen with people who aren't taking it. And it's absolutely ridiculous, right? All of this shaming, as if, you know, what I choose to do with my own body, whether I choose to put a needle in it or not, is going to affect you. You know, we have the choice what we put into our own bodies. Nobody can choose that for us. So I hope we choose wisely and do our research and realize, you know, these vaccines haven't had a lot of time to be tested on. And now people are expected to be the guinea pigs in this whole situation. And that's playing with fire. And playing with fire can be extremely dangerous. So just be aware, be mindful, and continue to learn and grow and be wise. So yeah, that's it for today. Hope everyone has an amazing day. Peace and limitless love.